So, how did I use media technologies in the construction and research, planning and evaluation stages? In my research and planning stages, I think this was mostly the part where I made the most use of Web 2.0. Because in terms of finding inspiration for the music video task, the social networking and video streaming site YouTube was really useful, because it meant it featured official band websites and music videos for the band, which gave me most of my inspiration for my actual final task. Through globalization of the internet, it meant I could look at videos from across the world, and it also has a suggested video tab, so I could look at I could search Two Door Cinema Club in, which is the band I was focusing on, and find other videos by bands that are similar. So it gave me a lot of inspiration for the indie genre as a whole. As David Buckingham argues, genre is not simply given by the culture, rather it is in a constant process of negotiation and change. I agree with that statement, because as I researched the similar videos, you could see a lot of conventions that were similar, but also different original takes on it. And I think by researching all these different artists on the suggested topics feed, it allowed me to be more creative. So in this way, YouTube and Web 2.0 really enhanced my creativity, because it gave me new insights into other people's originality. The other interactive website I used was blogger.com. I presented all of my media research and my final tasks on this, and this video will end up on there too, instead of me being in my Ford Ka. For the planning stages, I made use of Windows Movie Maker. I made my animatic storyboard on that program, because me and Emma originally drew out our ideas into a storyboard, then scanned in the images, and what did we do with the images? You don't have to stop. Drew the pictures out that we had in our heads to create a storyboard, and then organised them in Windows Movie Maker onto the timeline to create an animatic which responded to the music that would be later used in our video. This was good actually. This really helped us in the production stages, because it acted as a plan for what we wanted to do, and it was easy to visualise the shots that we needed to get done. Although the only creative hindrance that caused was our drawing, which was pretty poor. When organising in the planning stages, I used my Nokia CX phone. I used the calendar application to organise my time, and I used it to send out text messages and phone calls to cast members. It was a really good tool in organisation. In the production stages, I used a Canon EOS 450D. This was a SLR camera with high definition. It made my pictures look a lot more professional, because it was a HD SLR camera, so the quality of the image and the pixels was a lot better than, say, using a mobile phone or a digital camera. I could experiment with ISO levels which would achieve an ideal white balance, which when I used a professional lighting kit as well, this created a nice effect and a much more professional looking product. The autofocus setting made it a lot easier to get a picture that wasn't blurred, because I'd have no idea how to measure it from a lens, so that was good for my own technical lacking ability. We also got a variety of high megapixel shots, which were easy to edit in Adobe Photoshop, which helped me create a professional production pack. And this camera was really useful, because although I'm not a photography student, I can sort of tell the difference between photos, and if I'd have taken it all with a digital camera, it would have looked a bit amateur. Hang on. This was quite a hindrance in my time planning, because I didn't leave enough days to let myself get adjusted to it, because I thought I was better than I actually was. But creativity-wise, I think it was a good programme, because even if we couldn't find the right tool to do what we wanted straight away, it meant we looked on tutorials and found different ways around it. And for example, on the introduction to our music video with the fonts, we couldn't find an effect that made it juddery, a bit like the old 1950s film titles. So we ended up looking on a tutorial and finding out a way to do that. And I think even though it didn't do everything we wanted, our creativity could still flow, because we found other ways around it and we got everything done that we wanted to do. I edited the RGB curves on my images to create a more vintage-like feel, accentuating the blue and red curves especially to create quite a nice old-fashioned images. I also tried to create a cross-processing effect, which I couldn't find a tool to do that individually, but I went on tutorials online and it helped me get the right settings for RGB curves to find the right colorization for my pictures. I also used the heel brush, especially because some of the makeup that we applied, we didn't realise with a HD camera how all the blemishes come up, because if we'd have used the digital camera I think it would have been glazed over more, but because the HD of the SLR we were using, I'm saying we, it was me, the SLR I was using created too much of a high quality image to make it look smooth, so I used the heel brush to heal any blemishes and smudges in the makeup. One of the really annoying facts about Adobe Photoshop CS5 was that with our computer systems at college we couldn't upload fonts from dafont.com, which means we had a very limited base of fonts to use. This hindered my creativity to begin with because I didn't get the desired effect I wanted using just the fonts they had available. So in the end, my creativity prevailed because I took a photo of a Scrabble board spelling out the name of my band, Two Door Cinema Club, and uploaded that, and then I used the crop tool especially to cut out each of the single letters to create my band logo name, which is used across all of my digipack and the advert, which I think worked quite effectively, although it was quite time consuming. We also used Adobe Photoshop for aspects of the music video task. We wanted to create a vignette, which is the dark outline that we have on our flashbacks in our video. And we wanted this to differentiate between the flashbacks and the present day. To do this, we filled the page using the radial gradient tool and then applied a Gaussian blur filter to make the vignette more subtle. We then saved it as a PSD file and ported it into our music video. Without the use of Adobe Photoshop, we wouldn't have been able to create a distinctive differentiation of our flashbacks, thus making the narrative in our video less clear and understandable for the target audience. But Photoshop itself, the vignette wouldn't work over our footage, so we had to find other ways to make this possible. We also used the colour filter a lot to create a nice vintage feel and give it an unpolished, handmade look. It would have looked more modern because of the high quality image produced by the HDV camera, so it was essential to pull all this down a bit. So although it was really good having a professional footage, we also had to edit it down for the genre we wanted, which was indie. Whilst filming our music video, we used a Panasonic HDV camera, which is what I'm filming this on now. Hang on. The only thing we found quite annoying about the camera was the sensitivity of the zoom, because we found when trying to do quite a smooth reverse zoom, and a slow one at that, it was really hard because it was extra sensitive. So in the end, we ended up having to edit the speed of duration and take it down in pace. So we slowed it down into slow motion because it looked a bit too jerky for the shot we wanted to create. But overall, the camera enhanced my creativity as it did pretty much the job we wanted it to do. We were able to create smooth pans eventually that replicated shots created in film and other music videos, and it gave a professional look to our film. Pause. For our music video task, the main software we used was a program called Adobe Premiere Pro. This was quite a learning curve at first because I had no idea what any of it did, but after a couple of lessons I got to grips with it, but I still had to ask Emma a lot of annoying questions that were probably quite simple to answer. The program allowed us to import video clips and arrange them in succession to create an understandable narrative for our music video. It was the editing software basically, and it allowed us to use the razor tool to cut up clips and create cuts that we were happy with, as well as rearranging them in order. So we didn't film them in order, but this allowed us to rearrange them on the timeline and get them in a cohesive structure. It allowed us to create continuity edits. For example, in a section of our video, it moved from a 2-shot to a close-up to a point of view shot, which you couldn't have done without an editing software properly. It also was nice to have the zoom function, which meant you could see the clips were enlarged. It was a lot better to get accurate lip syncing, so you could cut them at the precise point you actually wanted. However, we did find parts of this software limiting. For example, there was no film grain. Well, there was a film grain tool, but we weren't happy with the effect it created. But overall, if it would have worked, it would have created a much bigger distinction between clips than just only using our vignette with the flashbacks. And in this case, technology determined the final outcome of our video, and it felt like it was holding us back a bit, so our creativity was slightly withdrawn because it didn't have some of the functions we wanted it to have. In my evaluation stages, I made use of Web 2.0 again, using social networking sites like Facebook to gauge some audience feedback. Originally, I posted my video and said, can people comment? And I just got they were flattering comments, but they weren't very useful for feedback. Just comments like, wow, love it, great. So in the end, I created a focus group through Facebook, which I could single out members from my target audience and ask them specific questions to comment on. And because it was a limited group, these all members replied, and it was very useful and a lot more in-depth. Facebook was really useful because it meant I could embed my video for people to see. I could also write a clear question for them to answer. Facebook was really useful as it allowed me to embed videos straight onto the social networking sites for people to stream live from the site, so they didn't have to follow any other links, which would probably put them off answering my questions, as well as being able to invite specific people into a group. Due to the Web 2.0 aspect of Facebook, it meant people could comment and share other videos in response and things like that. And the globalisation of Facebook meant I had a friend who lives in France comment, so I got viewpoints not just from people in Worcestershire area. I used a video camera to record some audience feedback from a focus group, but at the time I went to the media office, there wasn't any HD cameras available, so I took an older version out, which was meant the footage was saved to tape. And being a modern student, I had no idea how to use this, and I forgot you had to rewind the tape to record over some of the footage. And also I couldn't work out how to get the footage from the tape onto my computer. So this spent a lot of my time up, and I felt, this probably sounds really nasty because I'm a young student, but I felt I was working with a dead technology. And although it didn't hinder any of my creativity, it did take up a lot of time that could have been spent doing something better. When presenting my evaluation, I had to use Microsoft PowerPoint. This was slightly annoying because Blogger won't let you upload a PowerPoint straight from your desktop, so I had to upload it to SlideShare.net first, but this wasn't too much of a hindrance. It provided me with an easy and more interesting way to present information, and it was quite clear and concise. I was able to put labels on my work and demonstrate my ideas through using images and text. This was another example of Web 2.0, as I was uploading my production video onto another website, which was on Blogger and SlideShare.net now, which corresponds to David Gauntleth's theory of sit back and be told media culture transforming into a making and doing culture. So basically, it's turned from a push media to a pull media, because now I'm contributing to the online media myself.